Welcome to Broncos Weekend, presented by Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
Welcome to Broncos Weekend. Happy New Year, Broncos country. I am your host and Denver Broncos team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. And in the studio, we have Denver 7's Bradey King and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin. And later on in the show, we'll check in with Hall of Famer Steve Atwater. This is the first show of 2025, and we're happy to be here with all of you. This Sunday is a big matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs as the Broncos are looking to secure the final spot in the AFC playoff race. The Broncos still in control of their own destiny, holding the lead over the Dolphins and Bengals. So how do you guys see this team bouncing back?
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for this football team. You look at how they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs earlier in the year on a last-minute field goal. That was in Kansas City. Now you get an opportunity, even if they don't play their starters, but you get an opportunity to punch your ticket to the postseason. So I think all the stars align here in Broncos country to take care of business and get a nice team victory and finish the season on a high note, right? That's what you're always trying to do. You never want to go into the offseason feeling bad about yourself. The Broncos have a unique opportunity to get it done this week and punch their ticket to the postseason.
Absolutely. Let 2025 be the year that conversation about the Broncos not being able to get to the playoffs and over that hump is ending. Let's hope. They've got one game to win one game, and they really have no other option than to bounce back. I think the team feels confident that they can do that, but this is the week it all comes down to this, and I think we're going to learn a lot about this team and also see them really step up to the occasion.
Yeah, well, after practice, head coach Sean Payton and quarterback Bo Nix spoke on being up for the challenge of Sunday as they look to secure the final wildcard spot in the AFC.
I've got a lot of confidence in the team. And yeah, it's a big game. Like I said before, I think we'll play them bigger, but this is a big game. It's a division opponent. I mean, we're playing a team with championship pedigree. They're well coached, and we've got a tremendous amount of respect for what they've accomplished. And we understand that we're going to have to play well.
I believe pressure is a privilege, and I was taught that a long time ago. So. There's no pressure without opportunity. So right now that means we got great opportunity to go do something special.
I like what Bo Nix said there. Pressure is a privilege, and I think half the battle is just handling the emotions and intensity, knowing what's at stake on Sunday.
Yeah, I continue to scratch my head. This is a guy that last year around this time was playing college football, right? I mean, he's came in this season and he's been amazing. And to be in this situation, to give Broncos country this opportunity, it is just a great feeling of what's yet to come here for the Denver Broncos. When you're playing against a Kansas City Chiefs team, even though they might not play their starters, that is a team that walked into the season for the last decade and saying, hey, we're going to go win a Super Bowl. So I don't think it's going to be a pushover. You still got to go out there this week and handle your business. I'm just so excited that the Broncos are in this position in year one for Bo Nix.
Yeah, it's huge. And like Sean Payton said, I don't even think they can worry about who's playing on the other side at this point. It's still the Chiefs. They got to go out there and make a statement. Specifically, this Broncos defense who's given up over 500 yards in the past 2 weeks. I think they want to go in, make some corrections, no matter who's on the other side, and really make a statement and hopefully head into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, one of the many bright spots on the Broncos defense has been outside linebacker Nick Bonito, top 5 in sacks in the NFL. He also leads the Broncos with 11.5 sacks this season. We caught up with him after being selected to the 2025 Pro Bowl for the first time in his career. Congratulations on becoming a Pro Bowler. How did it feel when you heard the news?
It's still kind of surreal, just being able to get that honor. Just like, when it happened yesterday. Got the text and I was able to call my mom. She was crying and there was a lot of emotion involved. So it was pretty surreal.
Growing up, dreaming of being in the NFL, what does it mean to get the recognition as one of the best in the league?
I mean, it's a real big honor, especially since it's always something that I've always dreamed of. Having in this league is just being that guy and just always having that type of success that I've always dreamed of wanting in this league. So just kind of being able to see that kind of come true and just knowing that's only the beginning. So
this team has bigger goals, but as you look ahead to the Pro Bowl games, how excited are you to have the opportunity to represent the Broncos?
Yeah, really excited. Just knowing the type of guys that the Broncos have had there, and always just having that tradition of putting out good players and helping them get to those games. And it's going to be a real honor, and I'm really excited for the opportunity.
You have had a really great season. You're top 5 in sacks in the league. You lead this team in sacks as well. What do you credit to your success? You're a pretty humble guy, but what's been working so well for you?
Yeah, just a testament to everybody. I mean, obviously you got to go start with the coaches, just putting us in position to do what we do and always having a good plan. And then just the guys that I'm rushing with as well. I mean, it's really easy when, you guys have a guy opposite of you like Jonathan Cooper. You guys got inside like, JFM and Zach Allen that, just total game wreckers on the inside. So, I mean, just everybody just having a collective effort is really, the reason why. So.
This team has 58 sacks on the season, leads the NFL. You guys break a franchise record that stood at 57 that was set in 1984. What does that mean to you?
It's really big. I mean, Coach VJ, was talking about it today. Just, all the players that have been here and, our group being able to be the group to do it. It's a pretty special feeling. So definitely a huge honor for us. You
guys still control your own destiny, a win, and you guys are in. How do you handle the emotions going into this game, knowing what's at stake?
Yeah, just, knowing that, we're prepared for this. I mean, just ever since, camp, and going even back to OTAs, we knew that we can be in a position to where, we're going to have to win games to get in, and, we finally got it right here. So, there's not going to be any blinking from anybody, on that roster. We're all going to be ready to go, and we're ready for the opportunity.
The opportunity to clinch at home in front of Broncos country. How does that sound?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty surreal when we get it done. So, just being able to be in front of the fans and, be able to get that done is going to be pretty special.
Bonitto is one of 3 Broncos to be selected to the 2025 Pro Bowl. He was selected alongside cornerback Pat Surtain II and wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. Additionally, 8 Broncos were selected as alternates, including defensive lineman Zach Allen and quarterback Bo Nix. I wanted Allen to get his first Pro Bowl selection, but we have to keep going. We know it's storylines and fan voting and things like that, but to have Bonitto get his first nod to the Pro Bowl, as he said, it's surreal. And I know for Marvin Mims and Pat Surtain, it never gets old going to the Pro Bowl.
It never gets old. And Marvin Mims is quickly becoming one of my favorite players, you guys. He is such a spark on special teams. He was honestly one of the biggest reasons why the Broncos were able to beat the Colts back in Week 15 in the return game. It's no surprise that he's selected for the second straight year in that role. He's quick. He's got the instinct to be able to be a very good returner. And I love that against the Bengals, we got to see him really be incorporated as a wideout, making not 1 but 2 insanely huge touchdown catches. That last catch to tie the game going into overtime was incredible. So Marvin Mims, I feel like, is really showing up, and I like to see that he's getting awarded for it.
Yeah. On the other side, I look at PS2, right, and what he's been since he's got to the Denver Broncos. He's been that shutdown corner. We all remember Revis Island, right?
Yeah.
PS2 is tasked each and every week to try to take away the best offensive weapon for that quarterback. We all love our whoopies. We're all grown-ups. I wish that I could have my whoopie, my little blanket back in the day that I had. That's what these number 1 wide receivers are for these quarterbacks. And PS2 has to go out there and take care of business. So even though he doesn't see a ton of balls each and every week, it's because of what he's putting on tape. The way he approaches it in the offseason, he has to make sure that he's mentally tough, but also physically in the right state to go out there week in, week out to try to lock down one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. And you got to sometimes run those routes for those guys. So a heck of a job by him to stay in it each and every week, and it's been a spark for that defense and one of those leaders.
The leadership on this team has been really impressive. I think it trickles down, showing how much Bonitto has improved this season. Marvin Mims, obviously being alongside Cortland Sutton, and then PS2, the way that he's really been able to lead this defense. Well, after the break, we'll head to our video wall and check in with Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin as they'll break down the explosiveness of Marvin Mims Jr. Plus, we'll have the numbers you need to know ahead of the regular season finale. We'll be right back.
Bank better with Broncos checking from Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
I think most of it is just like the opportunities and just making the most out of them. I mean, that's a huge thing for receivers around the league. It's just when you get that chance, make the most out of it, and then you'll start to get more. And I think I'm starting to see that as the season goes along. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that go into different game plans, different personnel, different people. And I just think lately, I've been hitting my stride on certain plays and certain opportunities. I've been making the most out of them.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. That was Marvin Mims Jr. following being selected as a returner to the 2025 Pro Bowl games for the second consecutive season. His 720 punt return yards since entering the league are 4th most by a Bronco in the first 2 seasons in team history. For more, let's send it over to Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin.
Thanks, Elisa. Big O, hey, we're going to take a look at a few plays from Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims has really, taken it up to another level this year. And this first play here really shows the importance of knowing your personnel. And we'll see here, we have a fast guy in the defensive position, the cornerback. Those guys are normally the fastest guy on defense. And the receiver, he's the fastest guy on offense. We have the fullback up at the top, tight end, another, I think it's tight end right there. And it's 22 personnel. So the defense is probably thinking, hey, this is going to be a run play, but they didn't take into account that they got the fastest guy on the field there in the slot. And he goes untouched. And as you'll see here again, just kind of a mismatch. You got the fast guys not covering the guy with the most speed on the field. And he takes advantage of that by just really blowing by everybody. These two guys were probably anticipating run. They don't realize how much space is left on the field there. Bo Nix does a great job of putting the ball out there well behind both of the defensive backs, and Marvin Mims just runs underneath it,
Yeah.
How do these plays develop from an offensive player's point of view?
Yeah, well, first of all, you talked about personnel. 22 personnel. Typically, all defensive coordinators, all defensive personnel think that you're going to run the football in that situation. You look at Bo Nix right there. It's eyes, right? Being able to manipulate a defense and move safeties. Pre-snap, he saw Cincinnati was in a cover 2 shell with the 2 safeties back there. He knew that Marvin Mims had to be able to split those defenders. But I want you to watch tight end, right? It's eating up that space. It's now putting that defender in conflict, right? So much of the game of football, from a pass catching standpoint, is telling the defender a story that you're not actually doing. So at the end of this play, you're going to see Marvin Mims, when he burst off the line of scrimmage, he gives it a little out, right? He's telling that story, that fake story. That safety opens up and thinks that that's where it's going.
Yes.
And now he's able to get back underneath. On the backside as well, this tight end has to eat up that space and get on that safety's heel because it causes a little bit of hesitation. When you got guys that understand, hey, I have to run my route to win, and I have to finish, and I'm not the person that will get this ball. This is being designed for somebody else, and they go out there and execute. That's how you strike up the band. That's how you score touchdowns.
Man, that was a great play. All right, this next play, man, this is a great play. Right at the end of the ball game, players make plays, and as you'll see, you got everything really not in our favor. You got pressure from the outside. You got all the defense playing good coverage. And then you have Marvin Mims here, double covered there, and he's still able to make a play in the clutch situation. What did you think about this play, Big O?
Beautiful reaction by Bo Nix, understanding the problem. You got Michael Burton. He's trying to cut the defensive end. Defensive ends are going to win that all day, every day. But Bo Nix doesn't mess around with the alignment of Michael Burton and knowing that he's coming across field to get that defensive end. So immediately, Bo Nix starts rolling out to the right.
Yes.
So that's a good heads up and poise in the pocket, understanding where the potential pressure is. But as far as the play goes, it's Bo Nix throwing it up, giving him a chance, and it's Marvin Mims.
Man.
I'm a big dog. I'm going to come up big for you. So it's been nice to see them develop that rapport this year where they can both rely on each other and trust in each other. And that has a lot to do with Sean Payton with the play call, but also Marvin Mims going up there and making plays for Bo Nix and saying, hey, I am a valuable option. When you are in trouble, when you are stressed out, you can throw me the ball and I'll go up and make a play for you.
That's right, Big O. Players make plays. All right, back to you, Elisa.
Thanks, guys. The Broncos return home to Empower Field at Mile High to host their division rival, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Broncos enter Week 18 standing at 9-7 and still control their own destiny to lock up the final wildcard spot in the AFC. Ahead of the regular season finale, we have the numbers you need to know. The Broncos hold a 1-game lead over the Miami Dolphins and the Cincinnati Bengals. Looking at the playoff picture, the Broncos are only able to earn the 7th seed, setting them up with a matchup against the Buffalo Bills, who hold on to the number 2 seed. The Broncos can clinch a playoff berth with a win or tie versus the Chiefs. Denver can also clinch with losses by both the Bengals and Dolphins in Week 18. The Broncos are looking to end an 8-season playoff drought and currently hold an 84% chance of making the postseason, according to Next Gen Stats. The Broncos have a top 10 scoring offense in 2024 for the first time since 2014. With a win on Sunday, quarterback Bo Nix will join Hall of Famer John Elway as the only rookies in Broncos history to lead their teams in passing on their way to a playoff berth. Nix is the third rookie quarterback in NFL history to have 3,000-plus passing yards, 25-plus passing touchdowns, and 300-plus rushing yards in a single season. Making a case for Defensive Player of the Year, cornerback Pat Surtain leads the Broncos in interceptions and passes defended in 2024. The Chiefs have 0 giveaways in their last 6 games. Surtain has also allowed the lowest passer rating as the nearest defender in coverage this season. The Chiefs are expected to rest starters with the number 1 seed secured. QB Carson Wentz is expected to make the start for KC. With a lot of matchup variables to be determined, we could see Surtain matched up against Chiefs wideout Xavier Worthy. Worthy leads the Chiefs with 9 scrimmage touchdowns in 2024, which is the second most among rookies this season. The Broncos have scored 24-plus points in 6 straight games, in part due to the Broncos wide receiver duo Marvin Mims Jr. and Courtland Sutton. Mims has 60-plus yards in 3 of the last 4 games, while Sutton is 17 yards away from an 1,000-yard season. Sutton leads the Broncos in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns this year. The Broncos have a top 10 scoring offense and defense this season. In Week 17, the Broncos defense sacked Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow 7 times. They lead the NFL with 58 sacks and set a new franchise record. They broke the previous record, which stood at 57, set in 1984. Defensive lineman Zach Allen had a career-high 3.5 sacks in Week 17 in what was his first multi-sack game in his career. Allen also leads the NFL with 39 QB hits. The Broncos defense has 6 different players with 5+ sacks this season and looks to get after the Chiefs offense to secure a win. When we come back, for those still competing in fantasy football, Denver 7's Bradey King will have your final fantasy focus of the regular season, and we'll take a look at what's to come in the throwback game on Sunday. Stay right there.
Welcome back into Broncos Weekend. It is time for Fantasy Focus. Now, most fantasy football managers are hanging up their hats. And whether you won your championship or your team fell apart early on in the season, it's always fun to look back on the top performers of the season and maybe start thinking about who you want to draft next season. For the Broncos, Bo Nix put up the best fantasy football numbers this season. With just 1 week left in the regular season, the rookie ranks 9th in his position and 11th overall in the league with 282.6 total fantasy points, averaging about 17.7 points per game. In his past 3 games, Nix threw for 612 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and rushed for 79 yards on 8 carries, earning himself 56.4 fantasy points. His best game of the season was Week 8 versus the Carolina Panthers. Bo threw for 284 yards, 3 TDs, and ran for a score. He finished that game with 29.8 fantasy points. The best part is that prior to the season, fantasy experts projected Bo Nix to be the 28th best QB, and he enters Sunday's game as the 9th best, with a chance to clinch against the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs haven't given up more than 2 passing touchdowns to any opposing quarterback this season, but they also aren't planning to play all of their starters, so could be another big week. Bo Nix was also named an alternate for the 2025 Pro Bowl games. We caught up with his fellow captain, Pat Surtain II, who was selected as a Pro Bowl starter for the 3rd consecutive season.
A lot of people doubted us before the season, so I think it's just a testament to show how much his team is willing to prove out there. You know, I think a lot of other players deserve to be in that roster as well too. But you know, being the alternate is a huge accomplishment as well too, because not many are able to say that. So huge congratulations to those guys, and you know, I'm proud as a team as a whole, man. What we accomplished so far is huge. Now we got to secure this 10th win and reach that playoff spot for sure.
The last game of the regular season for the Broncos will honor and celebrate fans during its annual fan appreciation game. The Broncos will also wear their throwback uniforms, which is a nod to the 1977 season. What better way to show appreciation than with a win, right, guys?
Oh, 100%. And in those uniforms, right? I
mean, nice.
They're so clean. I've still been trying to bother the equipment guys for, just instead of, Ben Powers one, just this Franklin, we'll leave it out there at the corner. I'll pick it up.
Yeah. I am excited about this game. I feel like it just feels like the perfect way to end the regular season, right? Those uniforms are so fresh. The last time they wore them was when they beat the Raiders, so that was another conversation-ending game, right? And now let's end the conversation of the Broncos playoff scenarios this weekend with a win in those uniforms. It's exciting.
Well, the last time they wore them, like you said, Bradey, the defense had a really good performance. PS2 had a really long pick 6. The Chiefs have not had any giveaways over the last 6 games. How do you see this defense responding to make Carson Wentz or Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable?
This defense has done a really good job of keeping quarterbacks on their heels this year. You know, we saw what they were able to do against Aaron Rodgers. We saw, you know, how they were able to come together. I think another week of having Riley Moss back out there and getting back into the flow of things is going to help out this team as well. And for all, it is what it is at the end of the day. It's win or go home. The last time the Broncos were in this situation at the end of the season, it was back with my rookie year, where we had to go win against the Chiefs again. And if you are able to take care of business, you punch your ticket to the postseason. So I think it all lines up, and especially when you're wearing those throwback jerseys now. I mean, you know that Broncos country is going to be rocking, and you know, everybody's going to show up, whether it is Carson Wentz or Patrick Mahomes. Broncos country has to show up to make it a little bit more difficult for that offense to operate.
All right, well, it's time for our final call game of the regular season. You guys know how this works. It's Week 18, division rival, playoff berth on the line. Oh, who do you have calling game?
Man, I got to go with someone that you mentioned earlier in the show, because I was a little messed up and ticked off that he didn't get the Pro Bowl nod as well. And I think he's going to be frustrated also. Zach Allen, he's played amazing this year for this Broncos defense. He's coming in from, whether he's at the defensive tackle position or at that defensive end position when they're in their base 3-4 personnel, he's been a monster on the interior of the line. So I'm looking for him to be playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and whether it's Carson Wentz or Patrick Mahomes, getting after the quarterback all day.
You mentioned that chip on your shoulder. I think another guy that may have that, just based on his career and the fact that he is a veteran here for a team that has not clinched the playoffs in some time, Courtland Sutton. I think I'm calling game with Court, because I expect him to have a big game. When it's a win and in opportunity, I think you want the ball in Courtland's hands, and I think Bo Nix and him have showed that they have that chemistry, and now it's just putting it on display in this final regular season game.
Well, there you have it. Once again, Happy New Year, Broncos country. That will do it for this edition of Broncos Weekend. For Denver 7's Bradey King, former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin, and Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, I am your host and Denver Broncos team reporter Elisa Hernandez. It's Throwback Week. We will see you on game day, and thanks for watching.